All right, hello, my name is Nicole Gattiri. I'm your OTA assistant. We're going to be doing a cooking activity today. What is your name?
Valerie Gattiri.
Okay, Valerie. So today we are going to be cooking pasta. That was the recipe of choice that you wanted to cook today. So basically the purpose of this activity is to get you comfortable to returning home and cooking independently. I know that you stated in our last session that you're not feeling 100% cooking independently, so we're going to be doing this throughout our sessions
I
to
need
get
like
you back.
steps. I need like to have a lot of steps.
Okay, all right, that's fine. So
Because I get confused sometimes.
okay, all right. So our goal and my expectations for this activity then is we have a list of steps for you that we wrote out for the activity that we will follow. So my expectations and the goals for this would be we're going to follow this step by step together, but we're going to have you perform all of the activities as I teach you. And it'll be a good repetition. There's repetition in here for the steps, and we will be able to fully do the activity.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, so first as a little warm up, I want to know if you have ever cooked before.
Yes, I have. Not a lot recently, but in my younger years, I cooked a lot with my mom.
Okay, all right, that's good. And have you ever cooked pasta? Do you enjoy cooking that meal?
I love pasta, but I'm afraid when the water starts to boil,
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid to when I have to throw it into the what's that called?
The pot?
No, when I throw it into
The strainer.
the strainer, I'm afraid I'm gonna burn myself. So
Okay.
I'm a little
Well,
leery about that.
That is in our steps, so we'll just take extra precaution for that. And what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite genre of food that you like?
Italian.
Italian. Okay,
Love
that's
Italian
mine.
food.
That's mine as well. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the activity. So here we have a list of all of your steps that we're going to follow. It's about 3 pages long.
That's a lot of steps.
I know it is, but it's just because it's broken up into very simple, self-explanatory steps. So as you can see, step 10 is wait for the water to boil. So that is just a step in general.
I
So
don't like when the water starts coming out of the pot, though.
We'll make sure that it doesn't. So it's just very specific steps because that's how we're going to start off with your therapy to get to cook again. So just so as we're doing more therapy sessions, a way to grade up this activity would be your steps won't be as long and as simple. We'll be able to conjoin the steps together to make it the process faster.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so in the beginning, everything is already done for you. I'm gonna fix this so you can see. Okay, so we're gonna bring this with us, your steps. So all of the ingredients are already laid out for you. You have your pasta, you have the salt for the water, you have your serving spoons. The one with the lines is gonna be to cook the pasta, and the one without the lines is gonna be to stir the sauce. And then we have your personal bowl that you can eat out of, your utensils, your cup. And then on this side over here, we have the pot that is going to boil, the water to cook it with. You have your strainer, you have your other pot to defrost the sauce in, and then your spoon for the sauce.
Okay.
Okay? So let's go ahead and get started.
That's a lot of steps, though. I don't think I could follow those steps.
I think so. All right. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to be starting with number 6. So
Take the large silver pot over to the sink and fill it 3/4 the way with water. See, when I turn the hot water over, I don't like it. I'm afraid I'm gonna burn myself. 3/4 of the way, it said?
yeah, we want to stop it about 3/4 the way so the water doesn't overflow.
Okay.
A little bit more.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead.
Oh,
we're
it's
gonna
heavy.
put that. All right. Now our next step, we already did it. You already completed it, which was place the large silver pot on the burner of the stove.
Turn it
Alright,
on
we're gonna go
high.
ahead and turn it on high. So we're gonna use this knob because it's on the closest part of the stove.
Yeah, I get confused sometimes, the back one and the front one.
Yeah, so the circle here is on the front, so we're
Okay.
gonna use that. We're gonna put it on high. Alright. Our next step is what?
Take the salt container and pour 2 teaspoons into the pot.
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and do that.
Is that about 2?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Alright. We can just go ahead and bring the salt back over here. And now what is step 10?
Wait for the water to boil 10 minutes.
Okay. So now the water's gonna have to boil, which can take a little bit, which is the 10 minutes. So usually this is a good time to prepare other things throughout your kitchen. So you could have gotten like remaining supplies out, but you already set everything up. You can bring, you know, your pasta box over there if you want to make it easier, and you can open it.
What about the sauce stuff?
Good. And then if you want to go ahead and put the strainer in the sink so you have a little bit more work area. Just to get it ready. We'll put the pasta there. Now if you want to already even skip more ahead, since we're still waiting for the water to boil, you can go ahead and put the frozen sauce into your pan to start letting it defrost.
How come it won't come out?
Because it's still a little frozen, so if you just jiggle it a little bit, it'll come out.
Oh, it's out.
Alright, there you go. And you can go ahead and put that in the sink. Alright, good. And are you a fan of the pasta that we're using?
What's that? Rigatoni. Yes, I like rigatoni.
Okay, good.
But it would be the same procedure with any other pasta, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You can use any pasta that you'd like. That's my favorite.
Okay. We have to, how do we get that to get
So-
defrosted?
So this is in our later steps, but since we're waiting, we have some time, we can go ahead and start this. So you can either let it defrost normally without any heat, but the heat speeds up the process. So you could put the stove where we're gonna use this knob. We can make it a little bit on the lighter side, so it's not too hot. And the heat will start warming up the sauce, and then it's gonna start to get into a liquid state in the pot. But you have your spoon here, and you can always help the process by mushing it a little bit and getting it started.
It's not gonna boil over, right?
No. And we'll constantly check it too. Cooking is, you have to be kind of multitasking, because we're gonna have to keep an eye on the pasta and stirring it to prevent it from sticking on the bottom, which is with this spoon. So you could bring that spoon over there.
Okay, but I don't want the water to boil over.
It won't. And then we're gonna use this spoon, since it doesn't have any holes on it, to do the sauce when we serve, so you can put that over there.
How come it's not defrosting?
It's gonna take a little bit, it was frozen, so if you wanna increase the heat a little bit. So this is another way to make the steps for the recipe shorter. A good way to grade, it's called sequencing, is to either eliminate some steps or conjoin the steps together. So right now, our recipe list is 62 steps long. But since you already started the sauce, our sauce wasn't until step 15. So now you already did steps 15 through 22. So that's a good way to grade the activity, make it shorter, more complex. It's just multitasking, doing two things at once, making the recipe shorter.
Okay.
So when the water is boiling and we're pouring the pasta on, we'll be able to already go to the next
It's
page.
starting to boil.
Alright, well we needed to get a little bit more bubbly. in order to pour the pasta in. How's the sauce doing?
Nothing's happening. And I don't want this to boil over.
Well, see, you're crushing it, so that's good. It's getting a little liquid on the bottom.
Should I turn it
You can
over?
flip it back and forth.
Oop.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
all right, that's fine. We'll just clean it up with a towel. Okay, there you go. And it's gonna take a little bit because that was frozen solid. There you go, that's good. You see how it's starting to get liquid on the bottom?
So just keep scraping it?
You can scrape it, you can flip it back and over so each side gets a little bit of warm. Do you see how it's starting to get liquid on the bottom? That's what you want. And always keep an eye on your water as well.
Oh yeah, I don't want that to boil over.
Very good. And also, if you have a case where your sauce gets defrosted before your pasta is ready, you're always able to keep the sauce in the stove on low, like to keep it warm, so you don't have to keep reheating it.
Uh-oh, it's starting to boil.
Alright, so let's go ahead and lower this stove a little bit. Push this a
Uh-oh.
lower the stove a little bit. There you go.
I don't like when things start to boil like that.
Alright, let's take our spoon and let's mix it a little bit. You can flip it.
Ooh, it smells good.
Good. Alright, and let's see how our water's doing. Almost.
Uh-oh, that's boiling too.
It's not boiling yet, almost.
I'm raising it just a little bit.
Okay, still pretty frozen.
I made a mess.
That's okay. Cleaning up as you're cooking is also very good. It's less that you have to do at the end.
Uh-oh, the steam's coming out.
That's okay. You have to wait for the bubbles in the water. You can
What
continue.
should I use? Which one?
You can continue breaking up the sauce.
Flip it?
Yeah, go ahead. Alright, go ahead and stir the liquid as well.
Should I flip it again?
Yeah, you can.
It's messy.
Alright, and that water's almost there because you can kind of hear it.
You know what, maybe you could put the pasta in.
You don't feel comfortable? I'll put the pasta in with you. We'll
Okay.
both hold it.
Alright.
Alright, how's that sauce looking?
Maybe I should use that one.
Yeah, you can switch.
Ooh,
Oh, alright, that's good.
it smells really good.
Good. Just be careful when you break it up that it doesn't splatter over the pot.
Oh, I don't want it to do that.
Yeah, so just when you break it, just have a good amount of control.
How much? Uh-oh, the water's boiling.
Alright, so let's go ahead and put the spoon down. ahead and put the spoon.
Oh, look at it.
So we're gonna come over here. Alright, so the water's ready. So we're gonna take our our pound of pasta. Okay, you're gonna hold it with me and we're just gonna go ahead and
Oh, you do it.
No, you're gonna do it with me.
Okay.
And we're going to slowly pour the pasta in here. You gotta do it really slow though, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead and grab the box. Alright? A little bit more. Alright, keep going. Alright, very good. Alright, so now you're gonna take your pasta spoon and you have to stir it.
It's not gonna splatter on me, right?
No, it won't.
Oh, the sauce is starting to boil.
Okay, so let's stir this a little bit, that's okay. Good.
How many times?
That's good. And
What
then
step are we on now?
we're gonna check, so we're gonna go ahead and put the spoon over the pot to prevent it from the bubbles coming up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now let's go check our recipe. So, step 13 was place the spoon over the top of the large pot so it doesn't boil over, right? And we're able to skip steps 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And you already did step 20 because you lowered the temperature of the
Okay,
sauce,
right.
okay? So now what does 21 say?
Wait for the pasta to finish cooking with occasional stirring of the pasta.
Okay, so this is the step that we have to wait. So the pasta usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes.
Look at it.
That's okay. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to cook. So you're gonna have to just go back and forth of occasional stirring so the pasta doesn't stick to the bottom of the pot. Because pasta is made of starch. The pasta is made of starch, which gives it that stickiness.
Okay.
Good,
Yeah.
so let's go ahead and put that back over. Read our next step. So 22 says what?
Place to strain it in the sink.
Which you already did. And then step 23 is,
When the pasta is finished cooking, turn off the burner on the stove.
alright, so that's the step that we're basically waiting for. So this could take about 10 to 15 minutes.
Uh-oh, the bubbles are coming.
Alright, so let's check our pasta. Go ahead and stir.
How many times?
There's no really required amount, just to get the pasta.
Just to get the bubbles to go away, right? A
Right.
little bit.
And to allow the pasta to move and not stick together.
Okay.
Alright, so let's go ahead and put the spoon back on top. And let's check our sauce.
Does it matter which way it goes?
Usually, with it.
Oh, the bubbles are coming.
That's okay,
again.
that prevents the bubbles from, that's a little trick. Is if you put the spoon on top of the pot, it prevents the bubbles from going over. Good, so the sauce is almost fully broken up. Alright, easy when you break it.
Okay. I
Right,
think it's
so-
good.
It's almost, so that's meat in there, right?
Yeah. So,
Okay. So now, just like the step said, you're just gonna keep the stove burner for that pot on like a low, keep warm temperature, so you don't have to reheat the sauce when our pasta's ready.
okay.
So it's
keep
gonna
it on
be,
low.
right, it's gonna be warm the whole time, and as this is getting closer, we'll raise that just a little bit, so when your pasta's ready, the sauce is hot.
Okay.
Alright, so let's stir our pasta again.
How many times?
There's no required amount.
Six, 7, 8.
Alright, go ahead and put the spoon on top and store away our pasta box. So you don't have to clean that up later. Alright, so now for our recipe, your future steps, is going to be that when the pasta is done cooking, right, what do you think we have to do when the pasta is done?
Turn off the stove.
Right, and then what are you gonna do? Are you gonna have the pasta just sit in the water?
Oh, I don't like that part, when you have to drain it.
Right, but we're gonna do it so this way we get more comfortable with our future recipes if you have to strain something. So you're gonna have to strain the pot of water into the strainer that's in the sink. All the water's gonna go down, but you have to pour it slowly, because if you pour it too fast, all your pasta is gonna go all over the sink.
You might have to help me with that.
Alright, so that's basically our next steps. Going into, you're gonna shake, you know, the strainer back and forth to get all the water out, and you're just gonna pour the pasta back in. And then basically everything from there on is just serving the pasta into your bowl and putting whatever toppings you like on there. We left those in the fridge because cheese and butter need to be refrigerated. I don't want to get them left out and get them warm.
Okay.
So once the pasta's in the bowl, you can either put sauce on it, you can put cheese on there, butter, whatever you like. So we'll do that at the end as like our toppings.
Okay.
Okay? So let's go ahead and check our pasta.
How many times?
10, you did 10 last time.
3, 4.
Now, what we're gonna do as well, that was on our steps, is you have to test the pasta to see how much longer it is, because you don't wanna overcook the pasta and you don't wanna undercook it. That's called temporal relations, is you have to know the timing of when you cook and how long things have to cook for, so you don't undercook or overcook.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna take the spoon and you're gonna take out one rigatone pasta, just one.
Oh, look how many I
I know,
have.
so shake it off a little bit there, so you have one, good.
Up there.
And we're gonna put that on the counter, that's clean. And put the spoon back over the top. We're just gonna let this cool a little bit. Okay? And what you do is you're going to just let it cool and then pick it up and taste it. It's not hot.
It's not ready yet.
That's a little too hard, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're just gonna let it probably needs another 5 minutes or so.
Should I raise it?
You could raise it a little bit, go ahead.
Okay.
So that's how we're gonna be doing, we'll probably have to do that 2 more times. And once you feel, when you put the pasta in your mouth, once you feel the texture that you like, you know that it's done, and then we can
Oh,
strain
it's
it.
boiling again.
That's okay. Cooks faster that way.
Okay, what's the next step after that?
The next step is what we already went over. So is once you have the texture when you bite into the pasta, once you have the texture that you like, you're gonna just shut it off and then we're gonna strain it. Everything else is pretty easy. Alright, let's
We
go
have
ahead.
the sauce.
So the sauce we're gonna heat up a little bit warmer when the pasta is almost done.
Okay. Uh-oh.
That's okay, let's go ahead and give it a stir.
I just lowered it a little bit.
Okay.
'Cause I don't like the bubbles. Okay, now what?
Alright, so now we can go ahead and taste another piece. So go ahead and scoop and get one noodle out.
What if I get more than one noodle out?
Well, just try to get one. You could shake it off and put them back in the
Oh,
pot.
I have 2.
Okay? So we're just gonna let them cool a little bit because they're just in water.
Should I still keep stirring it?
No, you can put the spoon back on top. Alright, so you take one and I take one.
Almost.
I'd say about 2 more minutes, right?
Okay.
So now is a good time to warm up our pasta sauce. You want to get it so And when we serve the pasta in our bowl,
How high
the
should I
sauce
put
is-
it on?
Not too high. We just want to warm it up. I would say probably about a 3.5.
Okay.
Okay. Now once that starts, the sauce is gonna start to bubble a little bit because the heat from the stove is gonna heat it up. So once it starts to bubble, you can take your spoon and stir it a little bit so it just doesn't sit there.
Well, it's not bubbling yet.
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute. Alright, let's not forget about our pasta, so let's go back. Oh, you okay?
Yeah. See, I don't like the bubbles. How many times?
Just a couple.
Well, you said 10. 8, 9, 10.
Alright, let's go ahead and taste it again. This is the good part about cooking, you get to taste what you're
Oh,
cooking.
I got 2.
Okay, so gonna let this cool. It should, you think it's gonna be ready?
No.
No? Alright, let's try.
Yes.
It's ready. Okay. So, just like we read previously, we're gonna shut the burner off on the stove. Take the spoon off. I'm just gonna place the spoon right here.
Wait,
On
I
the
want to
side.
just stir it one more time.
Okay. Now here's the tricky part, the part that you're not too much of a fan on, but we're gonna do it anyway.
No, you could throw it in the.
No, we're both gonna do it. All right. So you're gonna take both hands on the pot, okay, and you're gonna slowly pour it. I'm gonna stand here and help you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
No.
Yes. Let's go ahead and take this pot. Okay, we're gonna pour. Move it over here. And slowly pour the pasta into the strainer. I'm holding the strainer. Slowly.
Oh, no more bubbles.
Good.
Oh, it's hot.
So it's okay. Good, good. Good,
Oh, it's very hot.
good. All right, perfect. Put that back on the stove. Maybe, and you're gonna pick up the strainer and shake it just like the steps said. We're gonna shake all the water out, and you're just gonna pour it right back into the pot. Very good. Okay. Now we're gonna take our spoon and mix it a little bit. Good. Now you're gonna put. You can
But
leave
this
that
should
in
be
there.
off now, right?
Right. That's off. Let's go ahead and warm up
Oh,
our
that's
sauce.
boiling now.
All right, good. Let's go ahead and move and get it out. And now comes the fun part. As that heats up real quick, let's go get our Parmesan cheese and our Brigade cheese. Okay. So our Parmesan's right here. The red. Very good. And where is our Brigade? It's right here, behind this banana bread. Okay. All right. Perfect. We can have you taste a little bit as well.
Oh, it's hot.
Good. All right. So we're gonna take your personal bowl, and we're gonna go ahead and put some pasta in. Go ahead and mix that the sauce. I'll do this for you.
It's boiling. Should I lower it?
Yeah, let's lower it a little bit. Okay, so go ahead and take this. Now we're gonna take the spoon for our sauce without the holes in it. And you're just gonna go ahead and sauce only and pour it right on top of the pasta. Only
How
the
much
sauce.
though?
Take one spoonful, right over the middle. Good, and let's do a little bit over here without the meat. Perfect. Good, okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and serve this bowl. You can keep stirring that if you want. I can do this for you.
Should I turn this off now?
You can turn the sauce off, yeah. Okay. So this is good if you're cooking with your friends. They could do a step while you're doing a step if you can't do both at the same time. Okay? Go ahead and you're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go ahead and put the sauce right over the pasta.
Can I just pour it over?
You can do that, that's easier if you have more control. All right, very good. Now you're gonna go ahead and put the hot pot and you're gonna put it on the back burner that we didn't use to cool it down.
Why on the back burner?
Because this burner was hot, I like to keep it on this.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna bring this over. And now is the fun part, which is our rest of our steps that we've already read, okay? So we have our Parmesan cheese and our regat cheese, okay? So I know for your bowl, you like both cheeses, right? So we have, here's the spoon for the regat. Let's go ahead and take the regat cheese. All right, let's go ahead and mix that a little bit.
Okay.
All right, and then we're gonna put a scoop on top. This is the fun part,
Why is it fun?
because you're topping off your dinner.
Oh, okay.
All right, good. And then we're gonna go ahead and move this over here, and let's shake some Parmesan cheese. Go ahead and open it and just sprinkle it on top. All right, good. And then you could take your fork and mix it all together, but carefully. Okay, good. Perfect. All right. And now
if I wanted to keep it hot, can I put like a piece of tin foil over it?
you can, yeah, exactly. Just to keep everything together. And now the best part is the cleanup. But we have our cup. So now it's time to eat, right? So you're just gonna do the final steps on the recipe, which is to grab the cup. We're gonna fill it with some water,
How much?
as much as you'd like. Perfect. You got your cup, and we're gonna place it where we're gonna be eating. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab a napkin from our napkin dispenser.
How many?
Just one, just for you. Good. And we're gonna take our pasta and let's bring it over there. All right. And that is it. That is all of our pasta making.
I want to keep the other one warm too.
Okay. Just gonna put some tin foil on top of it. And then obviously at the end, but just because of this video, we're going to be putting everything away for our cleanup. That would be the end of it. But you successfully cooked your recipe of pasta. You were able to follow all the steps, right? But now I just want you to have the opportunity to share. So I would like you just to quickly share how you felt in your experience with this recipe.
The only part that I was a little nervous was when the water was boiling, because I'm afraid of that.
Right.
So, but I think if I keep it on low, if it's low enough, it won't boil over. I don't want
Right.
it to boil over, so that I have to keep in mind.
Okay.
And if I follow the steps one by one, I know there's a lot of steps, I think I'll be able to do it by myself.
Right, but as it was shown today, cooking is very multitask activity. So we were able to knock out a lot of steps already by waiting for the pasta to boil while already defrosting the sauce. And then we were also able to pre-read our steps to know what we could do, so you could just already do the action. So your short-term memory is very intact because you were able, when we reviewed the future steps, it was able to retain in your memory, and you didn't always have to constantly go back and forth saying, oh, what was that step? You were able just to perform it all the way through with my help. So that's good. Do you notice any similarities or differences that you have while you cook compared to when your mom cooked?
Well, my mom was very fast,
Mm-hmm.
and she never really followed a recipe or a step. She just did it off her top of her head,
Mm-hmm.
which I used to do many, many, many years ago. But now I need a little bit more direction.
Okay, well that's all right. So during our OT future sessions, when we do cooking, we'll make sure that whatever recipe that you pick out of choice to make, we'll make sure that we'll write step-by-step instructions, and maybe as an increase or a grade up as we continue doing this therapy sessions for cooking, we'll be able to concise them, maybe make them a little bit more complex by adding multiple steps into one.
Okay.
Okay? How did you feel about doing the activity? Did you like it? Did you like the recipe that we did?
I was a little bit nervous in the beginning because the water was boiling over
Mm-hmm.
and it was bubbling, it was getting foamy. But by putting the spoon over the top, that kind of calmed it down a little bit.
Okay.
And then, of course, pouring the pasta
Mhm.
into the
Was a
strainer.
little apprehensive.
Didn't want to burn myself. So.
Alright, so it seems like that was the only place in the recipe that you seemed a little apprehensive.
Right.
Okay, that's okay. Do you think you'll incorporate this recipe in your diet as a way to
Oh yeah, I love pasta.
for application?
So,
Alright,
absolutely.
good. That's good application. And what was the most important thing that you learned today as you apply this into your diet or future recipe making?
Probably by taking the pasta off the stove, holding it with two hands, and
Mhm.
slowly pouring it into the strainer. Because usually, years ago, I just used to go so fast,
And everything
and
would come
I
out.
used to burn my arms.
Okay.
But by going slowly, I think I have more control that way.
Alright, good. So it looks like you learned a little bit of a trick then to help you with your future cooking. So that's good. I think, are you pleased that you were able to complete
Yes.
this activity?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Alright, good. So you were able to complete everything. So just in a really short summary, you were able to complete this recipe of cooking your pasta dish. During our next OT session, we will have you choose your recipe of choice as well. And we will write out all the instructions, we write out all the ingredients to make sure that you have everything if we need to go out and get anything, and we will do the same routine until you get more comfortable. We'll read through the recipe, take it step by step, I'll teach you more, we'll do it together, and then hopefully we'll be able to make the recipe more concise, and then hopefully during the future as we keep doing this, you might not even need, the next time you want to cook pasta, right, you might not even need to use the recipe.
The
You
steps.
Right, you'll just already have it in your memory and you could just cook, and that's when you know that, you know, all of your goals were successfully achieved and you're able to independently cook again.
Okay.
Alright, so I'll
Thank
see you
you.
in our next OT session, which will be in about a week, and we'll go ahead and
So I
choose
should start
the
looking
recipe.
for a recipe?
Yeah, start to see what you're in the mood for. I know it's a week out, but maybe you've seen something in the past, you're like, oh, I would like to try that, and we'll go ahead and write everything out and try it in our next session.
Okay, great.
Alright,
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.